to the Ultimate Bull Run, where we bring 100 bulls, 100 stories in this one legendary run. Our mission is to celebrate the journey and a process of trading and investing, rather than just focusing on the numbers, because we believe wins and losses are just the tip of the iceberg. We often hear that trading success is all about discipline and strategy, but what if the real key lies within your own mind? To help us unlock this powerful insight, we are bringing someone who has dedicated his career to helping traders overcome these very challenges. And the ultimate bull is here with us. He is Sam Daghash, a professional coach and a co-founder of Conscious Trading Academy. Sam specializes in breaking down the mental barriers that hold the traders back, guiding them towards the mastering their mindset and achieving lasting success. This conversation will be a game changer that you've been waiting for. So let's dive in. Welcome to the Ultimate Bull Run. Welcome to the show, Sam.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and to connect with you and your audience.
Thank you. It is an honor to have you. Really, Sam, we usually take it way back to when you started, right? You have a really deep background in helping traders break through those mental barriers, but what led you to focus on psychology and the trading and combining those two? What was your beginning story was like?
Well, sure. So thank you for asking. Not a lot of people ask me about my background story. So originally, my whole journey is actually in a tech space. So I was in ad tech for 15, almost 16 years, and then I found out in my own personal journey that there was a lot of mental blocks in my own my own conditioning. We all have conditioning, which creates some form of insecurities or blocks in our mind, right? It's not really us. It's just what we've experienced and what we taken in. We call this conditioning. And what happened over a period of time is I woke up that I wasn't in my purpose. I wasn't doing something that was meaningful. So I was ticking all the boxes when it comes to making money and traveling and living in Dubai and doing all the things that most people perceive from the outside that is what we all strive to do. But in reality, I've learned it in my own way that money doesn't bring happiness. So you need to be in your purpose. You need to be doing something more fulfilling. So what happened is that led me into going into and changing my entire trajectory in life. And a lot of people thought I was losing my mind because I was a regional business development director. I was running a company. I had 40 people reporting to me, and I was doing very well from a career ladder perspective. So I took time, and I actually mentioned this off camera to you. That was when I decided to stop everything in my career and to change trajectory and start to find something with purpose. And I actually started traveling by myself. And I mentioned to you, I went to Nepal, and that was, allowing me to start to reflect. So as I went through that process, which was a very lonely place to be because most people thought I was losing my mind, and I wasn't happy, and no one understood that. So I stumbled across the world of psychology. I stumbled across the world of neurolinguistic programming, Gestalt therapy, and I worked with someone. So I personally worked with someone that completely changed my life. I owe that person so much today, because what that did to me, it made me believe in the work. It made me believe in that there are certain modalities and tools out there today that will enable us to change our conditioning, to change who we are, to change our personality, to release the blocks, to release all those insecurities. So that started my journey in opening and having a practice, which was around 7 years ago. And as I started that practice, I was working with everyone in the beginning. So I was working, anyone that needed help, I was working with them. But what happened, organically speaking, is I started working with professionals that were traders. They were coming to me and they were saying, look, I heard you do very good work with my friend. I have some mental blocks. Can you help me? So I started working with them. And as I started working with them, their trading performance skyrocketed. They started to be able to size up without issues. They didn't have any fear of missing out. They were better with dealing with losing trades. So all the common challenges that traders tend to face, was something that was by itself healing itself, because I was doing the inner work with them and I was working on the deeper parts of their minds. And because it's all interconnected, it's all interconnected in terms of our personality. So that led me to unlocking more and more traders, and then I started to get a reputation for myself in Dubai, and then we started working with traders in the US and so forth. And then that led me to where I am today, where now we have a very well established conscious trading academy. I have my partner, which I believe he was a guest on your podcast as well, David Capablanca, who's a 7-figure trader, one of the best short sellers in the world, who I personally worked with for a year. So he was actually at the start was someone we were working together, and him also believing in the work and seeing the results that impacted him was also a buy-in to go, actually, this is real. This is not just fluff. This inner work, deep work that you use, especially when you're working with a practitioner, because I'm a practitioner. I'm not only a coach, just to be clear for your audience, which means I have the certification and the accreditation to work with tools that allow you to go inside the depth of your subconscious mind. That's unconscious mind, same thing, and change certain things. And that's just manifested itself. And this is where I am today, working with traders from all around the world, very blessed, have all different stages of their journey, and working on the fundamentals, because we need to know that there are certain fundamentals that if we get right within our conditioning, within our mind, we have a higher probability of becoming a successful, consistent, profitable trader, because it's all about consistency in trading. It's not about just making the money quickly and then losing the money quickly. Then it's a yo-yo. No, we want consistency, and that's what we aim to do.
That is a beautiful, moving story. Awesome. I have a couple of questions related to your journey, right?
Sure.
A lot of people, like, what you did initially was you weren't happy with what you had, right? And you got out of that box.
Mm-hmm.
The same with David. He was an architect.
Mm-hmm.
He did not like that thing, or he has his own reason, right?
Yeah.
And he got out of that box.
Yeah.
There are so many people who dream about being someone else,
Mm-hmm.
but the main struggle they're facing is getting out of that box,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I want you to take yourself back to the phase where you had that,
Yeah.
the situation where you weren't happy with the work, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What kind of mindset did you have, or what kind of action did you take that kind of drove you into, or forced you into taking yourself out of the box too?
Well, I think it's such a great question, and I love how you're bringing this up. So, what we need to understand, I reflect on it now differently, of course, because of the work I know and the experience I have. But I want to share something with you and your audience, right? This is very, very important. When we want to change, when we are thinking about making a change, meaning getting out of that box, right? The box, in other words, there's another word for that box, and you know what we call it? We call it our comfort zone. Okay. So our comfort zone is things that we are familiar with. So I'm familiar with this job. I'm familiar with this 9 to 5. I'm familiar with certain things. And the moment I know that this is not serving me consciously, the conscious mind, I want change. I'm not happy. I want to make more money. I want to be more fulfilled. Whatever reasons, everyone's got their own reasons why they want to change. But the reality is the change is not easy. Why? In that point, why? Is because the unconscious mind has something called the psychocybernetic mechanism, and its number one job is to keep you in your comfort zone. It's to keep you in the familiar. So when you think, the moment you think, I want to change my career, or I want to change my job, or I want to become a trader, or what happens is the unconscious mind, it finds reasons. Literally, it goes and does like a search and goes, oh, you can't do it because you're not good enough. It's too hard. It won't be possible. Why would you study from now? It's going to take time. So it gives you 110 reasons why you shouldn't attempt it. That's why most people they stay where they are in life, because it's not that they don't want to. It's the fear and the comfort zone of the mind wants to keep you in that familiar. And a lot of the times the familiar, I'm sure you would agree, is very unhealthy. It could be a relationship, it could be the job, it could be negative habits, but it's unhealthy. So what happens is they get stuck. Okay. Now, for me personally, and I'm sharing my personal, because everyone's different, what made me jump out of that box into the unknown, which is outside of my familiar, which is a very scary place for most people. When they step out in the unknown, they don't know what's going to happen, etc. The unknown is a very scary place because that's part of the game that the unconscious mind plays, right? It thinks in the unknown it's not going to work out. The unknown. But what I did is, for me personally, the pain that I was going through, getting up every morning, doing something just for the money. By the way, when you do something just for the money, it is the most painful thing you can do in your life, because eventually, yes, it supports you for a year, for 2, for 5, for 10, for 15, but there will be moments as you grow where you're like, I can't do this anymore, even though the money is good. And I'm telling you, the money was very good for me, right? But I was waking up with a heaviness in my chest, rather, and a throat, and I was like feeling like, I can't do this. This is not going to serve me. I can't continue, because then I'm going to fall into a lower state of energy. I could fall into sadness, depression, whatever you want to call these states of being, where I can't see any beauty, even though I have the money. But I look at my life. I have a nice sports car. I have a nice apartment, but I'm not enjoying it at all because I'm in stress and I'm not in my purpose. I'm not in alignment. So for me, the pain became stronger than the discomfort of stepping into the unknown. And also, I was also very strategic. So I wasn't like, oh, I'm just going to quit and I'm going to go in the streets. No, I was, and I think everyone should do that as well, is have have some form of plan, like have a little bit of money aside, or if someone is trying to get into trading, I always tell people, if you want to learn trading and you're new to trading, make sure you have another job. Make sure you have another income. Don't rely on trading to pay your bills. That's the worst thing you can do in the beginning, because you don't want to start with trading with the stress and the pressure of, I got to make this work. Otherwise, I'm going to be, so if you have the opportunity to start trading as a part-time until you get good at it, until you get consistent at it, until you start to make a real like confidence and consistency, and you build yourself some capital, then you can go, okay, now I can do this full time, right? But in the beginning, you want to eliminate all unnecessary pressures that is in the way of you and your dream and what you want to achieve. So again, everyone's circumstance is different. Mine, I had a plan. I decided to take time off. I decided to invest in myself. So I took a massive chunk of my, career savings, and I said, okay, I'm going to invest in myself. I'm going to learn from the best in the world that do this work. I'm going to learn from the best the best psychologists, best doctors, best institutes that works with the mind. And that was my risk. That was my gamble. So what I gambled is, or I took this gamble on me, if that makes sense. So I was like, and now after 7 years, going to my 8th year, it's starting to pay off, because now I have the confidence, I have the capabilities, I have the track record that is eventually, getting me to the stage where I'm in. But we all have to start somewhere, and we have to make that position in a way where when you step out of that box, the comfort zone, you want to have all your ducks aligned, because the mind is going to play against you. And this is what people don't understand. The mind will be playing against you and tell you 110 reasons why not to. Now, in the work that I do today, I help people get out of the box. How? I eliminate the fear in their system. I eliminate all the limiting the beliefs that they might have that's blocking them from achieving things. I eliminate the way that they feel about themselves. So they have a different way of thinking, and they have a different behavior, and they start taking action, and now the results start to show. Is it making sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. And I mean, I can relate these things because I've tried so many things that I wasn't comfortable with, and it is not recommended to anyone. But the way I put myself into that zone is, I can feel the fear inside me, but I just pick myself and put myself into that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Now it is all dark, right? And I'm in that situation. Either I'm just gonna pass out, or I'm gonna have to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
That is not recommended. Again, if you are into trading or in anything, that is not recommended. But that is like you said, it is a way to cope with your fear of,
Of
okay,
course.
the mind is going to play so many games that, okay, you are good with whatever you're doing. You have a family to take care of, you have all these things, you have a friend, you cannot, all these kind of things that it will try to keep you safe. and it is good. It is how we have survived so long, right? It is good, but if you want to grow, if you want to push yourself further, again, like you said, it is, you
Hmm.
have to kind of get rid of those fears. That is a really great way to see it too.
Yeah, I
One.
agree that. I agree with you with that point. I just want to add one comment because it's beautiful what you're saying. But I always say this to my students at the academy and to my clients. I say to them, fear is an invite. Fear is an invite to where you're not free. So when you're having fear in your life, it's an invite and you should lean forward into that fear. So you unlock it. And on the other side is freedom, right? On the other side of fear is freedom. So we need to lean in and go, okay, so worst case scenario, best case scenario. But the idea here is not to focus on what could go wrong, but rather focus on what could go right. We need to focus our attention and energy in the future and the outcomes we want, because that will start to give us a little bit of a different energy, a bit more confidence, a bit more ways of thinking outside of the box, as opposed to working on a fearful basis, because you're limiting yourself to a degree. That's why releasing fear in the work I do is number one. And you must see this, man. It's beautiful to see, Bimrish. It's so beautiful to see someone that is anxious, fearful, when they think about the future, it's always black, it's dark. To someone changes that neurology, they change their energy and they go, oh my God, in this moment, I don't have fear. I trust. I know if I need to take action, I need to focus on what I want. And the energy is different. The way they think is different. The way they approach trading is different. So everything starts to change because they're not operating from a fear and lack mind. They're operating from a confident, worthy mind. I'm worthy for good things to happen to me in my life, I'm worthy. Like when I look at you and what you shared to me, like originally where you come from, and you came to the country at 18 and you've been trading for 7 years. I find that a hero's journey, man. It's so powerful that you step out of your comfort zone. You go to a completely different nation, a different country, a different speaking language. But when you look back today, I'm sure you would agree, you were like, I wouldn't change anything. But at the time, it must have been scary, because I know, because I traveled a lot growing up as well. I moved around a lot with at different ages of my life. But it expands you. It makes you more stronger. It makes you more confident. It makes you more open minded. Would you agree?
Yeah, yeah, I do. And then
Yeah.
we'll move on to the part where we have to rewire our brain, because
Yeah.
that's exactly what I did for two years when I came here. I had a different kind of mindset back home,
Mm,
and then when I
mm,
came here, it was difficult to adjust, and
mm.
kind of ramping up that mindset,
Hmm.
unlearning things that I learned before was
There we
really
go.
important. We'll talk about that interesting
Yeah.
part. Um,
Yeah.
you did talk about, Sam. You did talk about the consistency in a trading, right?
Hmm.
We hear, all the time that discipline is the key to success in trading.
Hmm.
Yet, so many traders kind of they struggle with it.
Hmm.
Why do you think that is the case? And is it like really just about trying hard, or is it something deeper?
No,
Um,
this is a great question. I'm really enjoying this conversation with you, by the way. So let me answer this question, because a lot of people are a little bit, I wouldn't say confused, misled. Misled is the word. Now, discipline is, of course, one of the important principles and foundations to have to be a successful trader, 100%. But why most people can't get that right? Why most traders can't get that right? And the reality is, it's because of their emotional response, right? The way they feel. So when what happens is, just for your audience to understand this in a little bit more depth, when we talk about emotions, it's part of our state of being. So what is a state? It's how you think and how you feel and your physiology. Okay. So when we are in trade, when we're trading, when we're dealing with the market, we're dealing with strategy, processes, technicals, everything. There is a part of us that's always present, which is what we call the state of being, which is how you think and how you feel and how you and your state dictates your behavior. So every single state of being, look at it as a program, Bimrish. So every state of being accesses a range of behavior. So if you have a trader that's sitting on busy trading, and in his mind and the way he's dealing with the market is in a fear base. So his fear of missing out, fear of something going wrong. What happens is the state, which is the program of how he thinks and how he feels, becomes limited in his behavior. So he will, in that behavior, when you're a fearful trader, when you're an anxious trader, when you're a frustrated trader, when all of those, what happens is you break the pattern of discipline, because now you become emotional reacting. You're not reacting by logic, and processes, you're reacting according to your emotion. So your fear takes over the program, and now you start to do things that is fear based. It's driven by that emotional state. So when we now, why is this very important? Is because we need to understand that there are certain states of being for a trader that will promote and create more discipline. Okay, so if I'm in a coherent state, a flow state, a calm state, then my probability is higher for me to remain more disciplined and consistent, because now I'm not reacting to the market, I'm responding to the market, and I'm not allowing my emotions to overtake me to start to behave in a certain way, right? So most top performing traders, okay, like David and so forth, they are very much, there is a distance and a gap between the market and their emotional state. They know what they need to do. It's a framework. They understand. They have processes, and they repeat those processes over and over again. So it becomes a program. The state of being becomes a program. When I'm trading, this is the program I'm operating on, and this is how I behave. If there's a losing trade, I don't look at it as a losing trade. I look at it as a learning. Now, most traders, they take things personal. So when there's a losing trade, now what happens? I'm just trying to break this down for you for discipline, right? So what happens when there's a losing trade? Some traders A, what they will do, which is the majority, by the way, they will go, oh, I don't want to lose because that means I'm unconsciously, okay, this is happening in the back end. Oh, it means I'm not good enough. It means I'm not worthy. It means I'm a loser. And I don't want to be wrong. So the ego kicks in. So now what they do is they fight, they do revenge trading, and then they end up occurring even a greater loss. But if you don't perceive it that way, see the perception, the meaning making process, and you go, oh, that's now I have to exit. That's my losing, because that strategy that I didn't read it right, my thesis wasn't right, whatever reason. But when they see that, they exit. Okay, why are they exiting? The discipline, like David and other people, for example, other top traders, because now they know that that's not necessarily personalized to them. It's a learning. Oh, great learning, cool. Now I can go and focus on the other trade, or the other things that I'm working on. But I take that learning, I make notes of it, and then I don't repeat it. But if I'm revenge trading and I'm got my emotions, and now I lose and then I lose more, and then now I'm out of balance. I'm not disciplined anymore. I throw all the book of rules out of the window, and now I'm just fighting to try and prove myself right against the market. And the reality is now you lose on other opportunities that you could be focusing your energy and attention on, and you're rather focusing on this. And that's where things go extremely, I mean, you know this, I'm sure, it goes extremely bad, unfortunately. And some people blow up accounts, but all of that is started by the emotions. So the summary of this point that I'm sharing with you is most traders are not disciplined because they do not know how to regulate their emotional state of being. They don't know how to self-calibrate. They don't know how to not take the market personal. They don't have a space between the market and themselves.
That is well said. Whenever we were sharing these things, I'm having a flashback on the moments where, again, I have revenge traded, where I have FOMO'd into, where I know I shouldn't be doing things, but again, it is the emotional being, and letting that control your decision has really ruined more than $100,000 in my own personal career.
I can imagine. Yeah.
And that is a learning process, like you said. I talked to my friend, and we when we trade and when we lose, we just share our the loss and why we lost it, right? And I usually say, okay, this is a learning experience, and one thing he says is like, how much are we gonna learn? That is real important. Now, yes, you are learning, right? But if you are making the same mistake over and over and over again, that is not learning.
100%.
There is something wrong, and
100%.
I think if I see it with myself, right? If I see the things that I've done, it is the emotion, being self-aware of the emotion when I'm at that moment, whether I'm in a losing trade or I'm in a winning trade or I'm in a longer time frame of a trade. It is the emotion that I maintain, and that is not only in trading too. When I grew up, right, the discipline was forced. it was treated as a punishment. Okay, you have to do this, or otherwise, like blah 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 blah. It was a punishment rather than a self-awareness kind of things, and that is where it comes. Like, you got to see it from different perspective. Now, this is not a punishment. This is not anything wrong with however or you or anything, right? It is just you are letting the emotion run your decision making process. That is really interesting. I'm enjoying this conversation too. Yeah. Sam, you often talk about the hidden mental barriers, right? That traders face, and can you explain what these barriers are and how they might be kind of sabotaging our success without us even knowing it?
Yeah, sure, sure. So I think another great question. So I think what's important to remember as a fundamentals, right? So I want to share with your audience something known as our conditioning, right? So if I want to break this down, because this will make things so easy. So we have results in our life, right? Results in trading, results in our life. Everything is a result at the end of the day, whether it's a result we like or a result we don't like, right? So I want to break it down for your audience to understand the where the gold is at, where the real change is at. So first and foremost, we start with the results. Then we ask ourselves, why am I producing the same result over and over again, right? Where does the results come from? And the simple terminology or the simple explanation is all our results is a total of the things we do and the things we don't do, right? And that is what we call behavior. So what's important for you and your audience to remember is 95%. Listen to what I'm saying. 95% of your behavior is unconscious. It's a set of programs. So you think you're in charge, you're not. And this is proven, right? So what I'm sharing with you is a scientific-based knowledge, a scientific-based research that our neurology and neuroscience shows today that 95%, sometimes even higher, but I'm just giving the average, is unconscious habits behavior. We call this habitual, okay? And we ask ourselves, oh, wow, so 95% of the time, I'm 60 to 70,000 thoughts you thought yesterday, you repeated today. Boom, just that's the way it is. So now you go, okay, cool. So I understand results and behavior. I understand that I need to change my behavior to get the results. But then I ask myself, okay, so what is dictating my behavior? Why do you deal a certain way than I deal a certain way? You can have two people entering the same trade. One walks away with a win, one walks away with a loss. I've seen that plenty of times. They're just two different, same trade. But what's happening, and this is where most people are unaware of, is that there is something called, what I just covered with you, is what dictates our behavior is our state of being, which is how we think, how we feel, and how we behave, right? So our state dictates the range of behavior. And did you know that 95% of your state is also unconscious? So you're constantly changing your program throughout the day. But in that state, this is where it gets interesting. In that state, there is a dictated perception of reality. So when I'm in a fearful state, my mind deletes, distorts, and generalizes information differently than you. So if you're a relaxed state, focused state, calm state, flow state, you will see things differently on the screen than me. That's proven, right? Because the mind deletes, distorts, and generalizes differently based on our state of being. I'm going really deep here down the rabbit hole, but I really want people to get value, your audience, okay? So when we understand, okay, so now I understand, Sam, my state dictates my behavior, which dictates my results. So ultimately, my state is dictating my reality. It's dictating my results. Correct. But the gold doesn't lie in the state. The gold is we need to ask ourselves, why does Bimrish sit in front of the screen and walk away with a good profitable day, and another one, and it's exactly the same trades, walks away with a loss? Why? That is subjective to their state. But the rational thinking or the rationality of why am I seeing things differently? Why is my state different than you and me and everyone's different? Is because that is what we call our conditioning. Now, inside the conditioning, this is the layer one. This is where it all starts. If you open this box, where we call the conditioning, what's inside? Inside this box of conditioning is where I do my work. Most of my work is in the conditioning level and state level with everyone. This is I go deep inside. Is if you open this box, and what's inside is all our past emotions and the events that we have experienced in our life, from growing up with our family, from all the stories, from all the perceptions, all the emotions is stored in there. So that's number one. Number two, there's our values. What do we value in our life? Because everyone has different values based on their culture, conditioning, etc. Then there's our belief system, which is all the beliefs that we believe to be true in our life. But here's the kicker. Most of our beliefs that we have that we're unaware of are limiting beliefs. A lot of our beliefs that we hold today is limiting us one way or another. I don't believe I'm good enough. I don't believe I'm worthy. I don't believe I could do this. I believe money is hard to come by. I believe trading is this. So any beliefs that you are in your system, in your unconscious mind, they're at the back end, that is not serving you, it plays out in your reality. So there is one of the doctors I studied with, he used to say this all the time, and I really found it fascinating. It's always stuck with me, and I repeat this all the time as well in my work, is what you believe, you perceive. And what you perceive, you experience, which means my reality is going to show me an experience subjective to my internal world. So if I believe I'm not worthy, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not disciplined, then my mind will search for evidence in my outside world, in the environment and everything, to prove me right. So it's always searching for evidence based on what you believe inside of you, deep inside. Now, a lot of people don't know that they have limiting beliefs. This is why they do the work, because in neurolinguistic programming, that's part of the work, is to identify the blind spots of people. That's what I do with my work. Is I have a conversation and I start to track the conversation and the words. We call this linguistics, the neurolinguist. So there's a neurology connected to you trace it back to certain roots in their body, like traumas they had, certain things they had experienced in their life that changed them, because every belief has an emotional boundary associated with it. There's an emotion. So my work is about releasing those emotions, updating those beliefs, and we call this reconditioning. So my specialty is reconditioning the mind, because when you recondition the mind, now when you perceive your reality, when you trade, when you do things, you see things differently. And then you feel differently. So your state of being is going to change, which will change your behaviors and ultimately produce the results that you want. Most people want good results, but they're playing against them. You know, I use this example. It's a cheesy example, if you allow me, Birmish. So most people at the start of the year, what do? What's a common thing at the beginning of the year? Most people want to get in shape, right? Yeah, they all want to go to the gym. They want to, this is it. I'm going to have a six-pack this summer. This is it, right? And they write out the plan, and they go and they pay the money at the gym. And week 1, they're in the gym and it's happening. Week 2, they're still there. And then all of a sudden, week 3, it starts to drop off a bit. Week 4 starts to drop off a bit. And by week 5, where are they? Back on the couch, eating junk food, watching Netflix. We all know this, right? This is a really common thing, right? But what happened? This is what you need to ask yourself. Why did that momentum die down? Why did I had the will, I had the knowledge, I had my mind, my conscious mind saying, I want to get in shape. But if your unconscious mind, which is the greater mind, which is 95% of you, thinks that you are not capable, thinks that you're not disciplined enough, or believes you're not disciplined enough because of the past experiences, or believes that you are not worthy, or you don't respect yourself enough, or whatever the internal perception of yourself is, how I see myself inside of me, deep inside, the real perception, that will play against you. It will come and say, hey, Bimrish, man, you could do it Monday. Forget about it, man. It's weekend now. You can eat whatever you want. Oh, don't worry. It's okay. Tomorrow you can go to gym. You get that inner voice, that voice that in your head, right? But that voice, where's it coming from? It's your unconscious mind. So if you change the conditioning, you have a different voice in your head that you can do it, you are worthy, you deserve this, you deserve to be in good health, you deserve to go to gym, you deserve to show yourself in the world that you're respectful, that all the power that lies within you. And it's a different mindset, it's a different behavior. So that person is the one that actually stays in the gym for the year and actually develops the best physical body they want. And it's exactly the same thing when it comes to trading. Exactly the same thing. Nothing changes. It's all about the same model.
That is a dissection of the subconscious mind, and I agree with the point where you said the conditioning of the things. And I think everyone who is viewing this can do it themselves. Again, whenever you are traveling around, just count how many red cars you see. Right, up until this point, you haven't seen anything. You might have just ignored it or anything else, right? But now if you are traveling, just count how many red cars, and you will be amazed how many red cars there are. And that is the way of the conditioning part of it. And it is really interesting to see the perception that can dictate the action, and we just come back to one thing and say, okay, I'm not disciplined enough. Okay, I've done this once, I've done this twice, I've done this three times or four times or many times, and now I'm trying it again, it is repeating. So it is kind of like the subconscious mind is pulling you back to where you were. And like I said, now we're coming to the most interesting part. Now let's say whoever has watched so far, they have known the mind is the greatest asset you have, and you have to protect it. If it is corrupted, you have to clean it up. If it is not, you have to keep it healthy and everything and sharp and everything in balance, right? That is something we all strive for, right? And especially in terms of the trading, the market is volatile, everything is unpredictable. You are always like battling the emotion between fear and greed and all those things, right? What are some of the daily practices or rituals that you recommend to keep our mind sharp and emotions in check? And again, rewiring that. It is a very long topic. I do
Mm.
not want you to, because that is something you do as your career too, right?
Hmm.
This is something you are really, really good at. What kind of things that we can do? You know,
Sure, sure.
small
Great
things.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're not at the stage where you have the, let's just call it the investment in to ready to invest in yourself to go deeper in the work, right? Like what I was talking about, going to the deep, working with a practitioner, working with someone that knows how to work with the depth of the mind and rewiring and reconditioning and really doing the work. I call it the work, right? To change your life, to change your personality, your identity. For something for a better, it's like upgrading your software, right? It's our mind is like software, it's to upgrade. So what I would do, and this is something I practice still today, right? Is what I encourage people to do, and this is the easiest way to start. Is two things. Number one is learning about meditation, learning about understanding how meditation works, understanding something called mind mapping or rehearsal. We call this mental rehearsal. So one thing I teach at the academy is how to mentally rehearse in your mind, right? The reality and the outcomes that you want, but doing it where you are programming your mind. So there are techniques and tools to do that. So I would encourage anyone to take time every day before they start the day. And what they do is they close their eyes, they start to breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth to calm their nervous system down, right? And what they do is they mentally rehearse in the start of their day of how they want their day to look like, how they want to behave, how they want to enter the market, how they want to trade, how they want to respond to the world, how do they want to hold themselves. So they mentally rehearse in their mind and creating a movie, right? Almost like you're seeing yourself throughout the day, okay? And you need to practice this because you need to get better at it. But what's happening is, just for your audience to understand why this is very important, is the unconscious mind, the greater mind, doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's not. And this is very important. So if we understand that if I'm closing my eyes and I'm mentally rehearsing how my day plans out, I'm almost creating new neural pathways in my brain that is making a map of how I'm supposed to be behaving and programming my body and my mind. Okay. And if you keep doing that over and over again and you feel it with your heart, you feel the excitement of winning a trade, you feel good in your body, even though it's not happening in the physical, but it's happening in your internal world, what you are doing now is part of a very subtle form of reconditioning. Because now what happens is the body starts to taste a bit of the future that you want now, and it starts to move in that direction as well. So it starts to move into that space of behavior because that's its reference point, right? So unless you feed the mind what you want, it will go back to the old. That's what it has. It's the reference. Oh, this happens. That's how I reacted. Okay, so that's how I'm going to react again. So that's why most people don't get learnings, because they're repeating the same patterns. So in order to create new patterns, the first and most easiest way for everyone that's listening is to start to learn more and study more and research more what it looks like to create mental rehearsal in the mind. So you mentally rehearse in your body and in your mind. And of course, I teach this as well on a deeper level. But you can still do this yourself. You don't need anyone to learn about this. You can go on YouTube. You can go and start to try and find meditations, 10 minutes every day, 15 minutes every day, where you're out of the program, you're outside of your mind, you no longer and you're almost like dreaming like state. You're almost planning out your day. And then in the evening, if you're serious about this, in the evening you do exactly the same. So in the evening, what you can do is, in the evening you do the exact same thing of, how did my day go today? Like, you rehearse your day, like you actually review your day. So you're reviewing your day in your mind before bed, and you're calm because your brainwaves go down, and your door to the subconscious is open. And you go, where did I fall out of balance? What did I do today that I don't want to do tomorrow? What did I do today that I don't want to do tomorrow? And then you pick those up, you pick those moments up, because a lot of time it's unconscious, it's habitual. So now it becomes to the forefront of the conscious mind, and now you become more aware. So when you find yourself in that situation, you can see red flags already going, oh, I remember this, I rehearsed it, I don't want to do this, I'm going to do this now. And that's breaking the pattern. Now you're changing something slowly, but you're changing something. And honestly, if your audience are listening to this, this is a game changer on its own. But you have to do the work. You have to be willing to learn how to mentally rehearse. You have to allocate time every day, and you have to be consistent in it, because that's you building a new program. Is that making sense?
It is really making sense. And when I talk to David too, he is a really, really passionate guy. He's a hardworking guy. He knows what he's doing, and he really spent time getting to the point where he is.
Of
Um,
course.
and what I've kind of found is documenting. For him, it was a trade, right?
Hmm.
If something was going, journalizing is, or documenting, or writing down the
Journaling.
journal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
or again, revisiting the things that you have already done is really a game changer, and it is just a simple thing. After hearing from you, I think I will go back to kind of envisioning the
Of
day and planning the
course.
day, and then kind of
Yeah. So,
revisiting
so
the things that
So
are
what you're
missing.
saying, what you're saying with that technique is repetition, right? And repetition is key. So we're, bringing up David Capablanca, one thing he does extremely well is he's very dedicated to journaling, right? And reviewing every single thing he does. He reviews. Now, because he's been doing that over and over again, and repetition is over and over again, it becomes part of his neurology. It becomes part of the way he has a better memory recall. He has a better access to that, because he's always repeating that information over and over again and reviewing the information. So your brain, the way it makes decisions and creates new neural pathways, is by repetition. So the more we repeat something over and over again, it becomes cemented in our conditioning. It becomes cemented in our unconscious mind, and it becomes part of us. So you have to ask yourselves, what are the things that I've been repeating over and over again that's not serving me, like negative self-talk, the habits and behaviors, versus the things that I want to be repeating, repetition. So everything is repetition. And all our beliefs, by the way, when we talk about beliefs, like, really, I believe this, this is true to me. What is it? It's a sum total of repetitions that happen 3, 4, 5 times. And then the unconscious mind decides, that's the decision making process, that we are like that. Oh, I am an angry person. I am an impatient person. I'm a loser. I can't do this. And that's that decision. And sometimes, most of the time, it's not even us. It's like family, it's friends, it's community saying, "Oh, you're lazy, Bimresh. You will never become something. You're lazy. You're lazy. You're lazy." And then unconscious mind takes everything personal. So it goes, "Oh, maybe I am lazy. Oh, yeah, I am lazy. Okay, I'm a lazy person." And then they believe that. So if you believe you're a lazy person, guess what? You're going to act and behave as a lazy person, because that's part of your conditioning now. It's like a program. So being aware of the habits and behaviors in your life today, say, zoom out, everyone listening, zoom out, look at all your habits and behaviors today and go, what are the habits and behaviors that I want to change, and where is it coming from? Why do I behave this way? Oh, maybe I behave this way because I believe this. And that's where you trace it back.
That is beautiful. I think we are going to hurt a lot of people by talking about this. What do you say to people who say they are who they are?
Well, I think that's also a decision. Again, it's a decision. I am who I am. That's a decision making process that you do not want to change, right? So you've made the decision. I am who I am, and that's how I'm going to be. Cool, but that's a decision that you're making right now to be the way you. Now, it's so good to be the way you are if you're happy and you're getting the results you want in your life, and you're living a happy, fulfilled life with abundance. Great. Don't have to change. No one's asking you to change. Be the way you are. But if you're someone that is not getting the results you want and you're not happy, you're not satisfied, you're not fulfilled, then something needs to change. So you being that same person is not going to serve you. So your identity, your personality, something needs to change. You need to, what you said earlier, I love what you said earlier. You need to unlearn who you were and become certain things and learn new things about you to develop yourself, so your personality changes, you become a different person. I bet you now, if you go traveling back to your your nation, or you go back to old friends and people that you know before being in the US, for example, I'm very sure that they won't recognize you, right? They would say, who is this guy? He's a completely different person. He's like, I don't even know I can't connect with him, right? Because your personality and your identity has evolved. Now, a lot of people want that, but a lot of people are too afraid of it. So what they do is they stay and I am who I am and I can't change, and because they don't know who they will become. And that's the difference. That's a choice at the end of the day. And we can't force that. We can't force that. You have to make that decision. I am willing to change. I need to change to adapt, to adopt, to evolve. And if I'm not willing to change, then you will never change. One thing I do with the private clients I work with or at the academy, I don't work with everyone. I get a lot of people reaching out, just to be very honest with you and transparent. But at first question, I do a little interview with them. Like, I don't work with anyone. And people, they're like, oh, I have the money. I'm going to, no. It doesn't matter if you have, I have to look and I have to see, and I have to buy in that they are willing to change and they are committed. Because if they're not willing to change, then I'm wasting my energy, I'm wasting my time, I'm wasting my effort. I wouldn't get the results that I want, and I'm very proud about the results that I do with my clients and traders from all around the world. So for me, it's a fundamental one: is, are you open for change? Are you ready to change? Are you committed? And if I don't see those qualities, if I don't see those commitments, I'm not going to waste, because no one can change you or help you change if you're not willing to change.
That is so true. And it is like, that is just the beginning, right? Once you start revisiting the things you have done, the things that are embarrassing to you just to remember it, the things that you feel stupid, that is the next thing that you have to kind of, fight through, to not, again, like you said, not take it personally, but see yourself as objectively too. That's where the growth happens. I love this kind of conversation. Awesome.
Yeah, man.
Um,
And it's about self-love and self-respect, brother. If you love yourself enough, I always say this, like, if you love yourself enough, you want a better life for yourself. If you love yourself enough and you respect yourself, you want more. And if you don't, then that's okay. Let's work on that. Let's work on, why don't I love myself? Why do I see myself in a negative way? And it's not usually your fault. It's just your conditioning. It's just the environment you were brought in. Maybe you grew up in a household where your mom and your dad didn't support you emotionally. They didn't give you the love and the attention that you needed. That's okay. We all go through that. But what's not okay is to submit to that past and to become a victim to that experience. What's not okay is to be a victim. So no, I want change. I want to create something. I don't want to be a victim to my past. I want to take ownership. I want to be empowered in my life. And that's where things start to change, if you're willing to do the work and willing to fight for yourself, if that makes sense.
it just starts with you. Nothing else can.
Always.
Moving on to Sam. Moving on to the emotions like fear and greed. Those are the notorious for derailing any traders, right? How can we start mastering these emotions and avoid letting these emotions kind of dictate our trading decisions?
Very good question. Wow, you're very prepared today. I love these questions, brother. So greed. What did you say? What was it?
It's a fear
Fear,
and
fear. Yeah, fear is a big one. Now, how do we deal with that? Okay, so firstly, this is why it's the inner work and the reconditioning is important. So there is a part of our neurology known as Gestalt. It's a therapy actually that I'm a practitioner at. And what is it known the Gestalt to do? It's a prime directive of our mind. It stores all the information in our past experiences and all the meaning we gave those experiences and the emotions. So what happens over time, if we've been brought up in an environment where there is lack, you know what I mean by lack? Like it's not enough money, right? There's not enough. There's not enough. There's not enough. There's not enough. Just not enough. It's an environment that's not enough. There's lack. So what that does to us is it makes us become more fearful that there's not enough. So we have a fear in our system, in our body, okay? And based on that fear, which builds up over time, we start to behave a certain way when it comes to fear. So that's why we become fear of missing out. We exit winning trades too soon. We're always not certain, and we don't trust ourselves. Why? Because there's a lot of fear from the past. So to be very straightforward in answering this question, you have to release all the unprocessed emotions of your past, all the fear that's built up in your system. Because if you don't, you will constantly be influenced by your fear. So people that can't do the work or can't afford the work or don't know how to do the work or don't have someone in their environment that is qualified to do this for them, what they do otherwise, they try and work on getting themselves in a good state of being where there's no fear. So they do the meditations, they do breath practices, etc. But it's short-lived. It's not sustainable on the long term, because they'll be good one day, but the fear can creep up again, right? They'll be good one day, and then that fear kicks in again. So the fear is like a folder with we call this a Gestalt, which is a German word for collection, that is accumulating in their system, and they become reaction. They react to certain things as opposed to respond, because there's a lot of fear in their system, right? So being in the right state of mind and state of being, an emotional state, is extremely important to deal with fear of missing out and fear. But if it becomes a problem and you can't deal with it, then you need to go and do the inner work. You need to go and release all those fears that you've accumulated in your life, which a lot of them is subconscious, by the way. It's not, we can't even remember, but we have a lot of fear growing up. So it starts to play in our mind. It's like, I use this example outside of trading for a moment for everyone to understand. Have you ever been in a restaurant where you see someone sitting across from you, and they all of a sudden they are angry and they scream and they're frustrated because the waiter got the wrong order? I mean, we've all experienced that, right? The waiter got the wrong order, but they lose their marbles. They're screaming and I can't do this, have it. But in reality, do you think that all this anger that's coming up, is it because of this waiter getting wrong? For sure not. It's a subsequent from all the buildup that this person has from his stress and his other anger areas in his life that he's very frustrated and angry about, that he now releases and triggers that response on someone else, which has nothing to do with all his anger, but it's an outlet, right? So we call this a trigger. We call this a reaction. But the only reason that's happening is because his Gestalt folder of anger is full. It's completely full. So it's exactly the same way when it comes to trading. If your fear folder in your system is full, or your guilt is full because you're guilty, you're using money that you're not supposed to be, and now you lose money. Now you're fearful because you're supposed to be paying the bills with it. Now that's an accumulation of emotion that makes you come into that space of lack, a space of they start to operate from a limited mind, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense, and it is like a drop of water. If you just keep pouring it in a glass, at some point it's gonna just overflow, and that's the moment
100%.
when a lot of people kind of burst out. For some people, it is just a shot glass. Some people, it is a whole jar. But
yes,
if we keep it within, it is going to overflow. That is true.
100%.
Sam, losses. Talking about the losses, right? It is nasty part of the trading, and they are. But again, like you said, like a lot of top traders believe it too. They are just part of the game. They are there to teach you something. However, emotionally, they can really hit hard. Some people have lost. I've had an honor to have Gary Cardone in our show, and he had lost triple digit $1 million in 6 months, but he got it back again. But
Mhm.
going through that phase, that teaches you a lot of lessons, right? But how do you advise traders to kind of mentally recover from a loss, and even like turn it into a valuable lessons for the future? The reason is like I have talked to, again, with the people I've onboarded. I've talked to people, like, why did you quit trading? And a lot of people kind of say the same thing, because I lost $100,000, $200,000, $500,000, and this is not for me, right? What kind of advice would you give it to them?
Well, I think the most important thing to remind all the traders out there that losing, the word losing trade, is part of the game, right? So you're never going to have every single. That's what trading is. So first fundamental rule is to remember that losing is part of trading. You're going to lose some trades, you're going to win some trades, right? It's a game of probability, and it's a game of a win rate. So how much more can I win versus can I that I can losing trades, right? That's a fundamental truth. Now, what now detaches us from dealing with those losses in a better way is, first of all, we need to remember we're all human. We're always gonna No one's gonna tell you, yeah, I don't mind, it's okay to lose. No, we're all gonna react a certain way. We're all gonna feel that loss. It's not something nice, right? But the idea here is, how do you cope with it? And how long does that stay affecting you? So some traders I've worked with in the past, when they had a losing trade, it would affect them the entire week. In some cases, even weeks, even months for some traders, because they can't get over it in their mind, and they take it very much personal, right? They personalize it. I can't believe I did that. I lost this. I could have bought this with it. I could have done this. So now it's playing in their mind. So what that does is the weeks that come up and the build up, it messes up with their focus. It messes up with their way of trading. It messes up with everything, because then they start doing things desperately. Then they start. So how do we deal with the loss? Everyone doesn't like it, but the name of the game is not to personalize it. It's not to make it part of you. So we need to disassociate between the world of trading and you. And we don't personalize it as I lost. No, that's part of my strategy. What can I learn from that? What can I take and learn from it? And I need to really extract the learnings like never before. Put in new rules. Journal that over and over again. And understand that you have to preserve the learnings. And if you are really purely taking the learnings, you become a better trader. That's what trading is. It's how many losses do I need to take my learnings so that I become better as a trader. So losses are not always a bad thing. They are actually gifts in disguise. This is what most traders don't like to admit. But they're only a gift if you are preserving the learning, right? And they're only a gift if you are calibrating yourself and going, okay, that wasn't nice, that wasn't good, but I believe in myself and I trust in myself that I can get that back. Now, if I have that attitude, if I have that mindset, then I'm dealing with losses way better than someone that is not losing sleep over that, worrying, feeling bad, having negative self-talk, putting themselves down, and really being aggressive with themselves. That is something that is unfortunately not serving them in their trading journey.
That is true. For me, losses have taught me so much things than my wins, and I believe a lot of people can learn from it too. It is the loss of money. It is a loss of people around you. It is a loss of relationship, a loss of a lot of things that teaches you, and it is a chance to be a better human being, to be a better version of yourself. That is really true. Talking about the winning mindset, um, everyone wants to be a winner. Not everyone, again, to the place. I mean, we are in the trading game, and we want to be winner. We don't. We didn't come here to lose the game, right? We
Mm-hmm.
want to be winner. What do you say to people about cultivating that winning mindset on our day-to-day basis?
So I say that if you want to develop a winning mindset, you have to have the right conditioning. So you have to have the right belief systems. You have to have very positive self-talk. You have to have self-respect, and you have to be patient in the process with yourself. If you A winning mindset is an attitude that is an empowered attitude, that we fundamentally understand that the world doesn't change me. I change the world. I'm not a victim to my circumstances. I create my opportunities. I focus on my capabilities and I trust in myself. These are all things that are important to be ingrained in us, not by talk alone, but by honestly feeling that and believing that. And that's why inner work is important, because you could say something in the mirror and you could do affirmations until you're blue in the face. But if you don't believe that about you, good luck. You're just going to be the victim. You're not going to have an empowered mind. You're not going to have a winning mindset. So, a winning mindset is very much subjective to our internal world, it's subjective to our conditioning. And the more we understand that, and the more we are honest with ourselves and truthful about that, the more we start to see what is in the way from me to developing and to really embodying a winning mindset.
That is that's true. I hope a lot of people who have watched so far are going to learn a lot of things, especially controlling the emotion and being self-aware of who they are. That is true. For the last question, Sam, what do you think it takes to be the ultimate?
I really feel that to be the ultimate bull, and from having the honor to work with top traders like David Capablanca and others, it's super important to remember that mindset is everything. So having the right mindset, having the right belief system, having the right conditioning, having the right self image. Like, how do I see myself? Right? How do I see myself? Do I see myself as the ultimate bull? Or do I see myself as something different? If I see myself as the ultimate bull, then I'm going to take actions and steps towards becoming that. But I have to embody it now. I have to feel it in my body. I have to believe in my capabilities and trust myself. If any of those are missing, then it makes it hard for you to be the ultimate bull.
That is a beautiful answer. I love it. I love this entire conversation today.
Yeah. People can find me on, first of all, on Instagram. It's sam.daghash, Daghash. Also, they can visit the www.conscioustratingacademy.com. But I want to make an announcement, because I'm going to be in our third Conscious Trading conference in Los Angeles, with co-hosting it with my partner David Capablanca, one of the best short sellers in the world, and it will be on the 11th, the 12th, and the 13th of October. And it's a very powerful experience, because for the VIP, we have a Friday mastermind. Then the Saturday is the full conference day, where I'm on stage and we have guest speakers and David as well. And I break down the science of the mind, and I give some tools and practical knowledge that traders can take back with them in their life to apply. Everything we spoke about today would be there. The Saturday is the conference day. We have a VIP dinner, and then the Sunday we also have a mastermind with another guest that comes through, and we discuss and we reinforce all the learning. So it's a 3-day, but if you can't make 3 days, you can also just come for the main conference day on the 12th of October, and it'll be in LA, downtown Los Angeles, in the Hilton. A very nice hotel, by the way. Have you been to LA? Have you been to LA before?
No, not yet.
Yeah. Maybe something to consider, man. It would be a nice experience, and we get traders from all around the US flying in, as well as abroad as well. So it's a great opportunity for me to meet traders in person. I love to have that. And it's nice when you meet someone in person. The connection is and the energy is different when we're in the room. So thank you for allowing me to share that.
Thank you for watching this podcast till the end. I hope you got as much inspiration and motivation as I did today. The whole purpose of making this series of podcasts is to show that embracing the journey is as crucial as the final numbers. I believe you have already liked and subscribed to the channel. If not, please do so. Let's learn, grow, and lead this ultimate bull run. Until next time.